Hi and welcome back to my channel, and thank you for joining me for this balance and stability practice. We're going to challenge ourselves a bit today. This is very much open to beginners, but you'll probably find that if you've got a little bit more experience, you get on a bit better with this practice. But just see how you go. I'm going to give lots of options throughout to try some stronger, more challenging moves. But if it doesn't work the way you want it to, then we're also here to just practice patience, kindness, and remember that it is a practice. It doesn't have to be perfect today. You don't really need any props today, just your yoga mat. And let's come down to the ground to begin. So lay down onto your back and hug your knees towards your chest. Take a very gentle rock of the knees from left to right, kind of massaging your lower back against the ground. And maybe closing your eyes as we take these first few moments just to settle in, to find a sense of stability, a sense of grounding. So drop your feet to the mat now and rest your arms down by your sides with the palms resting on the ground, so palms are facing down. Have a bit of space between your feet, spread out your toes a little bit, and feel this connection between the soles of your feet and the yoga mat, the connection between the palms of your hands and the ground. This sense of steadiness, the ground underneath you, supporting you, holding you. And let's begin to engage with the diaphragmatic breath. So we're breathing in and out through the nose and aiming to send the breath deep into the lungs, engaging the diaphragm, and this is the kind of belly breathing that you might be familiar with. So we're looking to feel the belly inflate with the inhalation and deflate with the exhalation. Making each breath a little longer, a little deeper than the last. Relaxing your shoulders into the ground, softening your facial features. And then we'll begin to move with the breath. So as you draw a breath in, float your hands up towards the ceiling, just a small lift. And as you exhale, float your hands back down to the mat by your side. Keep going with that. And then we can introduce with the inhale as the arms lift, just a little small bridge. So we're lifting the hips up. And with the exhale, hips come down, hands come down. So on the inhale, hands float up, hips lift. On the exhale, everything lowers back down. Try and synchronize with your breath. You don't have to copy me. I'm going to gradually make this movement a little bit bigger. So start to take the arms a little further overhead, lift the hips a little higher. On the exhale, all the way down. With each inhale, lifting a little bit more, taking the arms a bit further overhead. With the exhale, all the way down. And you're going to keep doing this, gradually going a little further until you can rest your hands all the way up and over to the ground. That might be a little too much on the shoulders, so don't force it. But go as far as you can and pause there. Lift the hips as high as you can. Squeeze through the glutes. Fire up those legs. Push your feet into the ground. One more breath here. And then nice and slowly taking the arms up to the ceiling and then all the way back down to your sides as you come out of your bridge pose. Well done. Relax your back against the ground. Then open your arms out wide now with your palms facing up. And we're going to start to rock the knees, keeping the feet on the ground this time. Rock the knees a little bit over to the right, a little bit over to the left. Going a little further each time. Kind of rolling through the lower back and the glute muscles. And then taking the knees and rocking them all the way over to the right. And turn your head a little to the left. Breathing into this lovely spinal rotation. I'm going to remind you at this point to listen to your body during the practice today. We are going to be trying some challenging postures and transitions, so if there's anything at all that feels like it's too much or like it's unsafe in your body, then please don't force yourself into it. Know that you can come out and take rests when you need. We'll bring the knees back through the center now and drop them over to the left. So turn your head a little to the right. And that's just one of the ways that we can practice ahimsa, which means non-harming. So we're not here to push our bodies to cause harm. We're here to move in a way that feels safe and recognize when it's time to come out and take rests. Now bringing the knees to center, hug your knees to your chest again. I'm going to bring the hands around to the back of the thighs, lift the feet in the air and do a few rotations of your ankles like this. So just rolling the feet around, waking up the legs. I don't know if you can hear my ankle clicking. You might have the same going on for you. Try and reverse the circle as well, go the opposite way. There might be a difference, maybe one ankle is a little easier to coordinate than the other, or one direction is a bit easier than the other. And then with the hands on the back of the thighs, we're going to try rocking up to sit, and then rocking back down to the ground. Try it a few times. If your back really doesn't like this, don't force it. It's not everybody's favourite. But what I'd like you to try after you've had a couple of goes is see if you can come up and hover your feet and find a version of boat pose. So it might take a couple of goes to get there. See if you can hover the feet away from the ground, draw your shoulders back, lift through your chest. See if you can hold it there and breathe. If that's just not happening, bring one foot to the ground, hover the other foot. Take 2 breaths and then switch sides. If it's quite easy for you, this pose, try lifting the feet a little more, shoulders back. Maybe you even float the hands away today. One more breath. And then cross at the ankles. We're going to roll forwards over the knees and come round into tabletop position. And if rolling over the knees doesn't work, then come round to this any way that suits you. Placing hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And beginning to move through cat and cow. So as you inhale, lift your head to look forwards. As you exhale, round through your back. Let the breath guide the movement rather than the other way round. So the pace of your natural breath is what dictates the pace of the movement. And then coming back to a neutral position, tabletop. We're going to extend back the right leg, curl the toes under and push back through your right heel. So really stretching out the back of the right leg, the calf, the back of the knee, staying strong through the arms, press the ground away and think about pulling your belly button up and in towards your spine. So you're lifting through your core. Breathe, hold it. Let the right knee come back down and switch sides, so left leg extends back. Same thing, strong through the upper body, almost rounding through the back to make sure that your core is really firm. One more breath. And then drop that left knee. I'm going to go back to the right side, extend the right leg out. This time try and float that foot up, keeping strong straight arms, navel to spine, and send the left arm out in front of you. We're here for 2 breaths. Lift through the hand, lift through the foot. Try and flex your right foot so the heel is pressing away. And then bring the hand down to the mat. We're going to drop the right knee back under the hip and send the left leg out. Switching sides, left leg extends, float that foot up, flex the foot, push back strongly through the heel, send the right arm out. Find your balance, find your breath. Well done. Bring the hand down to the mat, knee down to the mat. Bring the feet a little closer together and the knees a bit closer together now. We're going to curl the toes under and sit back into a little foot and toe stretch. So drop the shoulders back. Wrists might feel a little tired after that, so rotating the wrists is a nice way to relieve them. I'm going to trust you to listen to your body from here on out. So if this toe stretch, for example, is too much for your feet, don't force it. You can come out. You don't have to do it. Be honest with yourself. That's the second of those yogic principles, satya, truthfulness. Honest about where the limit is, not pushing it. Okay, from here we're going to try a toe stand, which is a balance on the toes. So we're going to lift the knees, come right up onto the tiptoes and really try and lift your heels away from the ground. If it's way too wobbly to take the hands away, then keep your fingertips on the mat. Try and squeeze the knees and the thighs together. And if you feel like you can find your balance, bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, palms together in front of the heart. Find a drishti, so fix your eyes on a spot ahead of you and breathe. And if you're anything like me, you might be able to feel your heels kind of dropping out to the side. So try and squeeze the heels in towards each other. Squeeze the knees and the thighs together. We're going to take one more breath here. We're going to power up to stand. So take the hands up overhead, all the way up. Breathing in and breathing out. Bring hands down through heart center and into mountain pose. Well done. Roll back the shoulders. Take a deep breath. Now we're going to walk up to the top of the mat. And from mountain pose, take a breath in, sweep your arms up to the sky. With an exhale, soften the knees, fingertips to the ground if they will reach. And then inhale, lift up halfway, looking forwards, bring hands to the knees, really stretch out and straighten the legs here. With an exhale, softening down. With fingertips on the ground, so bend your knees to help here. Big step back with the right foot into a lunge. We're going to press back through that right heel, lift the head to look forward, so bending deeply into the left knee. Rock forwards and backwards on the right toes, so roll through that right foot. So you're pressing back with the heel and then rolling through onto the tiptoes. Try and look forwards if you can, so shoulders roll back, chest is open. One more breath here. And we're going to lower that knee to the mat, uncurl the toes, so flat foot, push the top of that right foot into the ground, big stretch into the hip. Hands come up onto the left thigh, we lift the chest, shoulders relaxing down. Find a drishti again, so fix your eyes on a spot out in front of you. This is really important for our focus and our ability to balance. We're here for one more breath. Good, and then hands to the ground. We're going to curl the toes under, lift that back knee. Now, take your fingertips out towards the top of your mat. You're going to hop the back foot in a little and then try and float it up in the air. Coming to the pose known as the standing splits. But for now, you're just going to lift your foot a little bit away from the ground. Doesn't have to go super high. We're going to flex that right foot and push back through the heel. Holding for one more breath. You've got it. And then rest the right foot next to the left, back into a standing forward fold. Slowly roll up the spine, keep breathing. You got it. Inhale, sweep the arms to the sky. Exhale, hands down through heart center, mountain pose. Take a breath, recover, relax your jaw. Let's try that on the other side. So breathing in, arms lift. Breathing out, folding forwards. Inhale, halfway lift, straight legs, big stretch into the hamstrings. Exhale, softening down. Fingertips to the mat, left foot, big step back. Come onto the tiptoes of that left foot. Push back through the heel. Try and lift your head to look forwards. We're in this deep lunge position. And we're going to push back through the left heel and then rock forwards onto the left tiptoes. So rolling through that left foot. That big crack was my left ankle. So again, you might be hearing some of the same in your body. As long as there's no pain there, nothing to worry about. And then lower that left knee to the mat, uncurl the toes. Press the top of your left foot down into the ground. Looking forwards, find your drishti. Hands come up onto the right thigh. We soften into the shoulders. Find a slow, comfortable breath. Opening up the hips. One more breath here. Keep your eyes fixed on that same point. You might be really tempted to look around the room, to look at the screen. Try and keep your attention on your drishti. Now taking hands down to the mat, I'm going to curl the toes under at the back, lift up that back knee. We're going to hop the back foot in a little closer, walk the fingertips a tiny bit further forwards, and we're coming into that standing split pose. So we're lifting the left leg, flex the left foot, push back through the heel. Find your breath. You might be looking down at the ground here, or even folding in, bringing your nose towards your knee. So we're working on that balance already. Your standing leg, your right leg, can be straight or it can be bent. Both work. One more breath here. Keep lifting through that left heel. And then step the feet together, forward fold. Slowly coming up. Send the arms up overhead. Take a breath in. Exhale, hands down through heart center. Mountain pose. Reset. Find your breath. Good. Take a little look at your feet for a moment and really lift and spread out your toes. A little challenge you can do here, we're really trying to build this neural pathway between the brain and the feet, trying to help us get a little bit more stable in our standing balances. So the challenge for you today is lift the toes, spread them all out as wide as you can, and then see if you can get just your littlest toes on the outer edges to touch the ground, so the rest of the toes are still lifted. And then the next littlest toes, then your middle toes, the next ones, and then finally the big toes come down. Try it again. Lift and spread out the toes. Start with the outer edge and gradually try and bring the toes to the mat one at a time. And then try it one last time with your eyes closed. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. Maybe it's something you want to practice. And then feel your whole foot or both of your feet firmly pressing into the mat. So every single toe, both of the heels, the balls of the feet, everything pushing down firmly into the ground, creating this strong base, almost as if you're sending roots down into the ground. Open the eyes, relax your shoulders, and we'll bring the palms together. Now looking forwards, find your drishti. Try and keep your attention there. You're going to keep your left foot really grounded and start to lift your right knee. So just lift onto the tiptoes of the right foot to begin with. Press down through the left foot even more firmly. I want you to lift up your left kneecap a little bit and really firm up this left thigh. Also pulling in a little bit from the belly button, standing as tall as you can on your left leg, and then float your right knee up a little higher. Flex the foot so toes are lifting. Keep your eyes fixed on your drishti. We're here for 2 breaths. If it's a little wobbly, it's okay. We're here to practice. From there, we're going to take a long step back with the right foot. Find the ground. If you've ended up crossing over and kind of stepping behind yourself, take your right foot out a little wider to the right outer edge of your mat. And then let the heel come down. So toes are going to turn out, coming to warrior 1. So hips are aiming forwards, feet firmly on the ground. Again, lift and spread the toes a little bit, set them down, feel your foundations forming there. Send your arms up overhead and find your breath. Push your back heel down into the mat strongly. Now from here, we're going to reach forwards and lift onto the tiptoes of your right foot. Feel your weight transferring into your left leg. Pause there, take a breath. And then shift your weight back into your right foot. Lift the arms to the ceiling. Back to warrior one. Feel your weight evenly distributed between your front and back foot. Again, reaching forwards, tipping forwards from the hips onto the tiptoes of the right foot. Feel your left leg really firming up and supporting you. Reach, reach, reach with the arms and then step it back. Warrior one. Now this last time, we're going to try and go for warrior three. So make sure you've got enough space. If you need to step back a bit on your mat, you can. Take a breath in. On the exhale, reaching forwards, lift onto the tiptoes, transfer your weight, and then see if you can float your right foot up. Flex the foot, push back through the heel. Gazing to the ground, a couple of feet ahead of you, find a drishti there. One more breath. We're going to try and bring the knee up and into the chest. So bring the knee forwards, palms together, back to where we started. Breathing in. Exhale, right foot to the ground. Drop the hands and breathe. Have a little shake out. It might help you to do a few breaths where you exhale through your mouth. I always find these really helpful. You might know them as the lion breaths. Just releasing some of that tension that might start to collect in your jaw, releasing some of the heat from the body. And returning to mountain pose. Again, if you felt like you were running out of space to go into that warrior three before, just step it back a little bit so you've got space out ahead of you. Okay, so looking down at the feet, spread out the toes, set the toes down, find your foundation. Place your hands together at your heart. Fix your eyes on a spot, find your drishti. And then transferring the weight into your right leg, you're going to start to peel the left foot away from the ground. So maybe just onto the tiptoes to begin with. You might have a tendency, like me, to kind of slump down into your right hip when you transfer your weight from one leg to the other. So I'm going to remind you again to push the toes into the ground on the right foot, to lift up through the right kneecap, to pull in from the belly button. Think about standing as tall on your right leg as you can. And when you're ready from there, float the left knee up a little higher, flexing the left foot. We're here for 2 breaths. Now stepping it back to warrior one. So big step back, find the ground, take the left foot sort of out towards the left outer edge of the mat, turn the toes out, press the heel into the ground. And send your arms up, warrior one. So we have a bend in the front knee, left heel is pushing into the ground. Then start to reach forwards, send your weight into the right leg, coming onto the tiptoes of the left foot. Pause, take a breath in. Exhale, send your weight back into the left heel, lift the arms, warrior one. Take a breath. I'm going to try that 2 more times. Slowly send the weight forwards. And then take it back. And on this last one, if you feel ready to try warrior three, you're going to transfer the weight forwards, lift through that back leg, flex through the foot, push into the heel. Gazing forwards, strong straight arms. 1 more breath here if you can. Then we're going to try and bring the left knee up and in towards the chest. Bring the hands together at the heart. Take a breath in. Exhale, left foot to the ground. Drop the hands to your sides. Return to mountain pose. A couple of deep breaths. Well done. Now come into the center of your mat if you're not already there, and bring the feet a little closer together. We're going to bring hands together at the heart. We're going to try coming back down into the toe stand. So lift onto the tiptoes. See if you can come down. If you lose your way, bring hands to the ground for a bit of support. If you can though, keep hands together at the heart. Breathing in, breathing out. Keep lifting tall, heels squeezing together, thighs squeezing together. And then see if you can slowly, really, really slowly, bring your knees down to the mat. Untuck the toes. Take the knees a little wider. You might need to walk yourself back a little bit. We're coming into extended child's pose. So sit your hips back to your heels. It might feel nice to kind of rock the hips a little bit side to side like this. And then bring your head down to rest. One more breath here in child's pose. And then rising up to the hands and the knees. We're going to keep the knees at that slightly wider position and bring the hands in under the shoulders. Take a breath in, turning to the right. Reach your right arm up to the sky. With your exhale, come down into thread the needle. Reach your right arm through, drop your head to the ground. And pause here for about 3 slow breaths. Feeling the steadiness, the stability of the ground now supporting you. So all of that work that we've done in balancing and trying to support ourselves, we can let go of some of that now and just be held and supported by the yoga mat. You're going to start to lift back up. Take your right hand all the way back through to the ceiling, breathing in. Breathing out, float the right hand to the mat. Turning to the left, left arm lifts. Inhale. Exhale, bring it down into thread the needle. Slowly rising back up, send the left hand through to the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hand to the mat. And then try crossing the ankles and see if you can sit all the way back. Extending the legs out in front of you. Well done. From there, coming down to your back, bring the knees into the chest. And just as we did at the beginning, gently rock your knees from left to right. And then float your feet up towards the ceiling. If it's quite tough to do this without any support, then use your hands to hold the back of your thighs. But if it's pretty comfy just to float the feet there, take your arms up overhead and rest them against the ground. And just pause there for a moment with the feet elevated. And we're going to slowly come into Shavasana, one limb at a time. So bend your right knee and float your right foot down onto the mat. Bend your left knee, float your left foot down. Bring your right arm down alongside your body with the palm facing up. And the same with your left arm. And then decide if you want to keep your knees bent or if you want to extend out your right leg, and then your left, with the heels resting towards the outer edges of the mat and the toes dropping out to the sides. Have a little shuffle of the shoulders down away from your ears. Make any other small adjustments you need. And then come to stillness. And let go of all of the effort and energy of this physical and challenging practice. And allow your body to rest. Notice the feeling of your body resting on the ground, the weight and the contact of your body against the yoga mat. See if you could take the deepest breath you've taken so far today. And have a little wiggle of your fingers, your toes. Very gradually start to reconnect with your body. You might feel ready to bend your knees, maybe rolling to lay on one side or hugging your knees to your chest. Give yourself a bit of time here to do whatever you feel like you want to do, whatever your body needs as it starts moving and waking up again. If you feel the urge to rush this part and to get up and get on with the day, then I'd really encourage you to trust the process and just slow this down a little bit. Allow yourself to come out of the practice gradually, maybe even making a commitment to yourself to take some of the slowness, the calm, the steadiness of your yoga practice today into the rest of your day, into what you're doing next. And then as we close the practice together, maybe rolling to one side first and then coming up to a seated position. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today, and well done for sticking with it, even if it felt pretty tough or maybe a bit wobbly at times. Remember, it is a practice. Part of what we're here to do is to get stronger, more flexible, better at balancing. But another part of what we're here to do is to get better at being patient with ourselves and being kind with ourselves. So if it was a wobbly practice today, then just, yeah, try and be kind, be patient in the way that you speak to yourself. Remind yourself that it's a journey, it's a practice. It will get easier and hopefully more and more enjoyable as time goes on. I will leave you there. Thank you again for joining me, and I hope to see you in another video very soon.